This is my pregnancy and delivery story. This is what happened to me when I gave birth to my son. So it all happened on the 30th of May when I was in my house. I woke up bleeding and I realized this was not good. So I decided to call the ambulance, and they asked me a series of questions: how I was feeling, how many weeks I was, and if I was in any pain. I answered all those questions, and they told me to be calm and wait for them to come and see me. They arrived within 10 minutes, and when they arrived, they did all the checks, and they had to check where I was bleeding and everything, and they decided I needed to be in hospital ASAP. Bear in mind that morning I was supposed to be moving into my new apartment where I would be raising my son and live with my son. So everything happened so fast. One moment I was in hospital and the midwives were checking me, they were taking bloods, they were taking blood pressure. And I remember one time my son was not, the midwife was checking my son, and she said he was not kicking, he was not moving. And with panic, I started panicking what is going on. So that's when the surgeon came in, the pediatric surgeon. He came in and he double checked, and he realized my son was definitely kicking and moving in my tummy. So then he decided, he told me the options, what was going to happen if this was not going on. Then he explained to me that since the heart rate is dropping low at the moment, but we keep monitoring, and if worst comes to worst, we'll be delivering your baby as soon as possible today, or we'll say we keep it in for the night. Everything should be okay. So time moved on and time went by. I had some lovely women from church who came to see me. I explained everything that was going on, because they were supposed to be helping me as well to move everything from my flat to my new apartment. So my mom was called, and she had to get the next flight from England all the way to where I was in Scotland. And she didn't get in time for the baby because I was rushed into theatre. They had to save me and the baby because they were fearing that I could have died, or my baby could have died in my belly. So the surgery went well. I still remember when I was awake, when they helped me, anything, give me injections, and I remember asking them what is going on, is he out yet? As I was on the theater table, they were taking out the baby, and I never heard him cry at first, so I was worried. The next thing I woke up, I was in the aftercare. So when I woke up, they did tell me that my baby was okay. He just needed help with growing his lungs, as he was premature. He was born at 30 weeks. So after that, they took care of me. My mom came in. She arrived safely and she saw me. But all I remember, I was so tired. I was not really responding very well. The next day, I was wheeled down to see my son in the NICU. But I was so tired, I didn't even understand what was going on with me, but I tried to ignore it. So the next few days, I started deteriorating. This is where everything was now going left. I started deteriorating. I started losing conscious. I was having so many massive headaches, because before the day, this Monday, that week before, I had been experiencing headaches, but I was just ignoring them and thinking maybe I'm not drinking enough water. I kept drinking water, but I was like, what is going on with me? They were like migraines. So I kind of ignored them, but I did tell my auntie when I was talking to her on the phone that, auntie, I'm having headaches. So the other thing what was going on is I was taking so long to respond to my brother on the phone or my auntie whenever they called me. And when people came to see me, they thought I was being funny when I was responding, saying things which are out of the ordinary. So the next few days, I kept getting worse, and then the midwives were alerted that I'm not okay, and they called straight away the doctors, and they started checking me. The first thing I couldn't do was move my right leg. That was something that I couldn't do. every time I tried to move it, I felt powerless in my right leg. So I didn't know what was going on with me. And then they kept checking. But because I wasn't responding very well, I was just agreeing like, I'm not feeling any pain. I'm okay, I'm okay. I was just scared. So until then, I was out of it. That's when they decided to do a CT scan. And they said, okay, this is what's going on, Michelle. You have a bleed on the left brain. And we might have to operate it, but we still need to check again because we need to see if it's something we need to operate, or we need to just put you on intravenous antibiotics in hospital. And I said, okay. I started praying. I was praying so hard, and I said, God, please take care of me. I have my son I haven't even looked after. So, just now I've just delivered. I'm a new mom. What is going on with me? Lord, take over. Next few days again, I started getting worse. That's when the doctors say, no, we have to transfer you to the other hospital in Edinburgh, where they have specialists who are well trained in what I was feeling. They'll be able to operate on me and drain that fluid on the left side of the brain. So seizures were causing me, were the ones which were triggering all the stuff what was going on in my body. So I was wheeled to Edinburgh, and the next thing I just remember being told by the surgeon, Michelle, we're going to put you now to sleep. And that was it. And I saw my mom, I heard my mom saying my name, calling my name, and I was just drowsy. I was trying to wake up. And then when I heard her call my name, I opened my eyes and I tried to choke out the tube. That's when the nurses called the doctors and they just evacuated everyone. And that's when the doctor came to me and he said, do not choke it out, don't take it, I will help you to remove it. And then he said, ask me questions. Do you know your name, Michelle? What's your name? And I nodded my head, and he asked me to say my name. I remember not being able to say my name at all. And then the next thing, he was like, do you know where you are? And I said, yes. And he asked me to say, I couldn't say it properly. And he said, no, that's not what you're trying to say. You are in Edinburgh. And he asked me, do you know what happened to you? And I said, no, I don't even remember anything. I was just stammering. Then he explained to me that I fell and then I had seizures, and then they had to take me to CT scan. They realized I've got a bleed on the brain. And that's when they had to take you here and give you a surgery and operate on you to drain that fluid. It was a small surgery, but you have been in a coma for 1 week. Well, when they said I was in a coma for 1 week, my body just felt jelly. I did not understand why, and I was just breathless. I was like, what happened to me? I started crying. They said somebody is here to see you. I saw mom and my auntie coming, my dad's sister. They both came in. They saw me. I started bawling my tears because I was confused what happened to me. Nobody would tell me anything. I'm sure by now that I look back, I'm sure, they just didn't want me to stress out as I had just come out. So the next thing, they called in my dad, and I saw him. I bawled my tears out. I was just crying. Mom was praying and just being happy that I am alive. And the next few days, I was still in the ICU. They came to see me because they stayed over. They had to stay in my flat. So that's where they were staying over. They would go to see my son, then come to see me. And that's when my parents started explaining to me exactly what happened. So in their own words, this is what happened to me. So they say that when I had some seizures, I went into septic shock when I was in the other hospital where I gave birth. So I went into septic shock, and I had so many various seizures that was uncontrollable. That's when they realized something is wrong in the brain. And then that's when they realized, you know what, we need to take it for CT scan. CT scan was done, and they realized it was getting worse. They had to take me all the way to Edinburgh Hospital. As soon as I got there, it got worse again, and I had more seizures. They couldn't operate on me because they had to wait for my parents' consent for me to go in the theater. So as soon as my parents came in, they were debriefed everything that happened, and they had to give the go ahead that okay, you can take her in for operation. So operation was done, it was successful. Then they put me in an induced coma to help my body rest, because my body was so tired. They say that I was so shattered. I looked so shattered. My body was so stressed. They needed me to rest, my body to rest and go back to where it was before I was pregnant. So, but then when they let me that, they knew that they had the plan that I would wake up, at a certain time. But the certain time they thought I would wake up, I never woke up. So it took me a whole week. During that week, my parents say that they had given up. They did all the tests, they found nothing. Then they tried to misdiagnose me, and everything was just happening so fast. And at one point they gave up and said, we can't do anything for your daughter. And my mom stood up and she said, no, I believe that you will do something. I believe that she's gonna wake up. I know my daughter, and I have prayed. I am praying. I believe she'll wake up. So the day I woke up is the day all the doctors, the whole medical team, they were so shocked that I've woken up. They could not believe it. They couldn't believe it that I was awake, and it was a shock because they had never seen something like this before. Everything happened so fast, and then my parents say that's when you woke up. You are in I see you all the time, and you had your own cubicle. They had to let you rest. They always came to check on you. There was a nurse, every 5 minutes. And when I woke up, that's when they said, we have been going all the time to see your son, and he's growing so well. I started bawling again, tears, because my heart was, I didn't even get that chance to hold my son for the first time, the first moment of his life. And I'm here in hospital fighting for my life. I was in the hospital in Edinburgh for about 3 weeks on bed bound. I had to have all the personal care. It was very hard communicating because I had lost my speech. I couldn't walk. I had the minor stroke on my whole right side going down. So learning to talk was very stressful for me. It was very hard, because I felt like people didn't understand when I was talking. I was speaking too fast, sometimes so slow. So I had to learn how to talk again. After 3 weeks, I was transferred back to the hospital where I gave birth. And then that's when the nurses, they surprised me from the NICU. They surprised me with my baby. The same day I arrived back in the hospital, they placed my baby next beside me, and I was just bawling my tears. I could not believe it. That's when I was like, finally, I can see my son now. I am seeing my son, and I was just so happy. The next day, the nurses who specialize in physiotherapy, they came and they started helping me to learn to look after myself, to go for a shower, to do it myself, and they'll help me to walk. And their aim was, we specialize in physiotherapy. They came and they started helping me to learn to look after myself, to go for a shower, to do it myself, and they'll help me to walk. And their aim was, we need you to be walking by the time you're out of here. You need to be you to be able to look after your son by the time you're out of this place. So they worked so hard, the whole medical team. They would take me down to the NICU. They would teach me how to feed my son, because everything was just gone. I don't know how to do anything anymore because I was still weak. So they taught me how to walk. Within a week, I was up and walking. And then again, the medical team was so shocked to see me one day walking in the corridors. And I said, where are the crutches? Where's the wheelchair? I said, you know what? I save a mighty God. I am able to walk. I'm happy. God saved my life. I'm so grateful. I had visitors coming to see me, work colleagues, they came to see me. And I was so happy that I was able to be escorted, around the block in the hospital with the nurses. They came, helping me to walk with my son, taking for walks outside around the hospital block. And they taught me everything, how to feed him, how to bathe them as well. And by the time I was discharged from that hospital, I was a walking woman. although you know, all this happened, I still had weakness in my right side. So I had the physiotherapy all the time. When I was transferred back to England, I started having more physiotherapy, you know, to get me well. And I started learning more speech as well, learning more and speaking more, reading more books, so I could get back to where I was. I'm so thankful that, you know, I have passed that phase. The only thing that was very, very hard for me is the flashbacks. The flashbacks, you know, when you start recalling everything that happened before, it's very hard. But I am so much better now, and I nearly died. They told me that I was on a deathbed. I was on a deathbed and I was never gonna wake up. So thank you for listening and watching my pregnancy story. I hope you like and share, and also subscribe